Tonight we have another edition of AEW Dynamite scheduled live from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida, but it's no ordinary episode of AEW Dynamite. We have a very, very special edition of AEW Dynamite tonight. Not only do we have 3 championship matches up for grabs tonight on Dynamite, but we're also celebrating the 30th anniversary of the first ever AEW World Champion, the Demo God, the Million Viewer Man, the leader of the Inner Circle, the record-setting Intercontinental Champion in WWE. Don't forget about that. He also had other careers too. Of course, Chris Jericho. It's 30 years of Chris Jericho that we're celebrating tonight on AEW Dynamite. It's a loaded show. It really is a loaded show. AEW have a couple of big episodes coming up. October's a massive month for pro wrestling. It really is. You look at, obviously, the stuff WWE is doing, but from an AEW point of view, you've got, obviously, tonight, the 30th anniversary of Chris Jericho episode of Dynamite. Next week, you've got the 1-year anniversary edition of AEW Dynamite, and we're scheduled to have a World Championship match next week. Then the week following that, we have the NXT Halloween Havoc special TV event. This month, we've also got Hell in a Cell. There is so much going on. In addition to the draft in WWE, which starts on Friday too. So a real big week and a big month for pro wrestling, really. And we're going to break down a bit of a preview here for AEW Dynamite, what to expect tonight, my predictions, my thoughts, my previews, all of that kind of stuff. So obviously, as I mentioned, tonight will be the 30th anniversary episode of Chris Jericho's career, which we're celebrating tonight on Dynamite. But I think the match that everyone's really talking about when it comes to this episode ironically isn't Chris Jericho's match, even though it's the 30th anniversary special for Chris Jericho tonight on Dynamite. It's actually the TNT Championship match, the dog collar match, as the AEW TNT champion, Mr. Brodie Lee, defends against Cody, the American Nightmare. Now, obviously, this goes all the way back to when Brodie Lee defeated Cody for the TNT Championship back in October. It was on August 22nd, the special Saturday edition of AEW Dynamite, and Brodie Lee absolutely destroyed Cody. And by destroyed, I mean destroyed. He beat Cody in 3 minutes. It was devastating fashion, brutalized him very quickly, and then the entire Dark Order just about destroyed the Nightmare family too. And Cody wasn't seen on Dynamite for several weeks. It was about a month. Was it about a month or so? There was rumours that he'd gone away to film a TV project with Stephen Amell. That was the real reason he was off, but they decided to use it as a perfect opportunity to change up the Cody character, because Cody, of course, returned a couple of weeks ago. New hairdo. Cody has dyed his hair black. He's gone into his emo gothic phase. He's now listening to My Chemical Romance and crying alone in his room. But to be honest, I'll be brutally honest, I don't know about the dark hair. I really don't. I would have preferred him just to go back to his usual... I mean, I know we're talking about hair colours here, which doesn't feel very pro wrestling, but I would prefer him have just gone back to, if he's going to have dark hair, just go back to his usual... He's a natural brunette, isn't he? So he's got brown hair. Go back to having brown hair. I always loved the blonde look. It's a throwback to, obviously, Dusty Rhodes and homage to Dusty and Dustin, who both had bleach blonde hair. And I think it looked great on Cody. But if he was going to do this darker version of the character, just go back to your usual hair colour. You don't have to go black. Just the jet black, I don't know. The more I see him, it just doesn't... I'm not used to it yet. It hasn't become, this is what his looks like. He looks like sort of a bad Dracula, because it's really dark. It's really dark. There's one thing dyeing your hair darker, but this is jet black. I mean, completely black. And he's coming out with slightly different suits with this sort of fob watch deal going on. He does look very Dracula. Very Dracula. And I don't know how I truly feel about it. I don't know if that's the best look for him, but these are all aesthetics, of course. It's what happens in the ring that really matters. So we're getting Brodie Lee Cody in a dog collar match. It's going to be the rematch from that TNT Championship match back in August, like I said. They've been hyping this up for a couple of weeks on the Road to Jericho video this week, which is the Road to event that they always drop every week. You had Arn Anderson on there hyping up the match, saying that it's one of the most violent and bloody matches in history. Reference matches between the likes of Greg the Hammer Valentine and Rowdy Roddy Piper over 30 years ago when they had this kind of a match. So they're hyping up violence here. They're hyping up that it's going to be brutal and it's going to be vicious. There's no doubt in my mind this isn't going to go 3 minutes. It's going to go much longer. We're not going to get a 3-minute TV main event, and I do think this will be the main event. Given that it's a dog collar match and given that it's Cody, I would be stunned, quite frankly, if Cody doesn't get some color in this match. Cody Rhodes, for some reason, has this obsession with blading or getting bloody or getting color. In all of his big matches, 9 times out of 10, he will get color, even in matches that really don't need it. I remember when he did the first TNT Championship defense against Jungle Boy earlier this year, he got color in that match and felt really unnecessary. So this match certainly feels bigger, in my opinion, than his match against Jungle Boy, which was the first TNT Championship defense. So I would say it's a near enough certainty that Cody will get some color in this match. You obviously have to wonder about the interferences here. Obviously, Brodie Lee is the leader of the Dark Order, so we're probably going to get some form of interference from Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, Silver, Reynolds, even Anna Jay, and all members of the Dark Order, maybe Colt Cabana too. So that means we're going to have the Nightmare family get involved too, whether that's Dustin Rhodes, QT Marshall, Brandy Rhodes, I'm sure will get involved with Anna Jay. So there's going to be a lot of bells and whistles, I think, here. As I mentioned, I do think it's going to be very, very bloody and very gory, which I'm interested in. I just feel like Cody, every time he has a big match, he gets color. But we'll have to wait and see with that one. As far as a prediction for it, I just don't see Cody coming out of this the TNT champion. I don't think he needs to. He was the right choice, I think, probably to become the first TNT champion. I wasn't sure if I really liked him going over Lance Archer back at Double or Nothing, because I just felt like they built up the monster and then they chopped him back down, and it kind of feels like they're doing the same thing with this match against Moxley next week. But I do think he probably was the right guy to be the first TNT champion. Of course, he can't be the AEW World Champion. He promised. So until he turns heel and decides, screw promises, he can only challenge for the TNT Championship. There's no doubt having a big name like Cody be the TNT Champion did establish the title and make it feel important, which is very important when you're bringing in a new championship. So I think he was the right call from that point of view. I just don't see the worth in giving Cody the belt back now. I think Brodie Lee's done a very good job as TNT champion. I think it's elevated Brodie Lee, and I think that's the right thing that this TNT championship should do. It should elevate the talent to the next level. Brodie Lee did have a main event under him in AEW, obviously challenged Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship at Double or Nothing, but I kind of felt like that was too soon for him at the time, and they were rushing him into a spot that he wasn't ready for just yet. Now, if you wanted to have Brodie Lee in a main event for the World Championship, I'd feel like he's more than ready, and that's because of this run with the TNT Championship. But I don't think Cody's going to win it here. I don't think AEW isn't the kind of company to do hot potato with championships. It doesn't feel like. So I think somehow, some way, Brodie Lee will win this one. What happens? I don't know. I don't know if Brodie Lee would beat Cody clean. Maybe he would. We'll have to wait and see. But I think Brodie Lee will retain the championship. Now, as I mentioned at the top of the video here, this is a very special edition of Dynamite. It's the 30 years of Chris Jericho. So to celebrate that, we have Chris Jericho teaming up with Jake Hager, as he's done in recent weeks, the Inner Circle, going up against Chaos Effect, which is Serpentico and Luther. Now, of course, this match is going to be all about Chris Jericho. The show is all about Chris Jericho. Not to say that Dynamite isn't. Dynamite is the Chris Jericho show. It always is. Chris Jericho is in the prime spots whenever they do Dynamite. He's at the top of the hour or opening the show. Why? Because Chris Jericho draws ratings. He says it in his promo. He calls himself the $1 Million Man, the Demo God, all of that sort of stuff. But the facts are there. When Chris Jericho is on the screen during AEW Dynamite, they do either big viewers or big demo or sometimes both. Chris Jericho is a draw. So what do you do if you really want to draw a big number? You put Chris Jericho all over the show. And you also have to consider that tonight, of course, in the United States is the vice presidential debate. So AEW really does need to stack the show if they want to do a good rating. And they do want to do a good rating. I think on the flip side of things, if you look at NXT, maybe they're just sort of looking at this week and taking the L. They know that they're probably going to do a bad rating because everyone's interested in the vice presidential debate with everything that's going on in the United States. Whereas AEW are like, you know what, we're going to fight it. We're going to fight it. We're going to try and load it up. 30 years of Chris Jericho, and we're going to plaster him all over this show. As far as the opponents here of Serpentico and Luther, what an opportunity. What an opportunity for Serpentico and Luther. Now, obviously, I think Chris Jericho could have picked anyone on the roster to face in his 30th anniversary match. You have to consider a couple of factors here. One, Chris Jericho, of course, is going to win. So you don't want to have a young talent or a fresh talent that they're trying to build up and Chris Jericho is going to beat them here. This match is not really about a feud. It's about, I said, it's an exhibition for Chris Jericho. It's about having the spotlight on Jericho. And also the other factor you have to think about here is that Chris Jericho is longtime friends with Luther. Ever since Luther came into AEW towards the end of 2019, maybe sort of around this time last year, Chris Jericho was first to point out that he was very good friends with Luther. They worked together in Japan almost 30 years ago, and he's very good friends with him, and he was very happy to see his old friend finally get an opportunity on the big stage. And Chris Jericho numerous times, whether it be on Twitter or Instagram or anywhere, has often shouted out Luther. He's a big fan of him and a big friend. So it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that a very giving person like Chris Jericho would want to share the spotlight with an old friend of his like Luther. It makes total sense to me. I think some people have unfairly criticized, well, why wouldn't you go up against, say, Pentagon Jr. or Rey Fenix, the Lucha Brothers? Because I don't see the point, because Chris Jericho is going to win this match. Chris Jericho is going to win. Not only is Chris Jericho going to win, but the match is all about him. The opponents are essentially secondary. So if you had Chris Jericho versus Jungle Boy in this match, what would that do for him? Jungle Boy would have to win. Because if Jungle Boy doesn't win, it doesn't do anything for him. So it's all about for me, this match is all about Chris Jericho. It's an exhibition for Jericho. So I think the opponents are perfect. And as I mentioned, I think Chris Jericho will win and Jake Hager will win. They've kind of been teaming up a lot recently. I don't know if the plan is to actually face FTR at some point, maybe at Full Gear. I mean, I would be interested in it. I don't know if like that works as a match in terms of two heel tag teams. I know maybe in 2020 that doesn't really matter. But, I mean, it's interesting. I always preferred the tag team of Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho, but obviously they're going in a different direction with Jake Hager and Chris Jericho there. But, again, this match is all about Jericho, and it'll be a lot of fun to watch. Chris Jericho always on Dynamite. He doesn't have a script. He's very much unfiltered, does what he wants, and he's money. He's Chris Jericho. He can do what he wants, and he really is Dynamite. He really is. So in addition to all of that, we also have an AEW World Tag Team Championship match. We have FTR going up against the Hybrid 2. Now, to be honest, I mean, the tag title match, they've advertised it as a tag title match, so it's exciting. Look, we have 3 championship matches tonight on Dynamite. There is no way FTR is losing the championships here. I mean, have they lost to anyone yet on Dynamite? I don't think so, as a tag team, so they aren't losing to the Hybrid 2. I'm a big fan of the Hybrid 2. Huge fan of Jack Evans and Angelico. I watched quite a few of his matches on AEW Dark as a singles. What a great wrestler. His style is so different, so unique. Like Mexican submission style wrestling. If you haven't seen it, it's an absolute treat. So it's an interesting clash of styles here, certainly. You've got FTR, very much old school tag team wrestling philosophy, going up against Jack Evans, who is very high flying, and Angelico is just this unique Mexican submission style that is really fascinating to watch. If you're a wrestling enthusiast and you loved watching different styles of wrestling, I wasn't very switched on to this sort of Mexican submission style wrestling, but out of all the matches I've recently been watching on AEW Dark, and I would recommend doing it because those talents you don't usually see on Dynamite, you see on AEW Dark, but the matches that I have seen, I've really enjoyed the Angelico matches, so go out and watch them. But of course, as I mentioned, FTR is winning this one. We've also got an FTW Championship match. We've got the Machine Brian Cage defending the FTW Championship against Will Hobbs. The first time that the FTW Championship has been defended on national TV. Of course, it was defended on AEW Dark against Brian Pillman Jr. Only took Cage 2 minutes to defeat him, but obviously they're hyping up Will Hobbs as a more credible threat to Brian Cage, obviously similar size. You know what? I could totally see them switching the title here. And I know some people will say that's ridiculous. Will Hobbs, he's got something about him. He really does. And I was really disappointed for him that he didn't get the opportunity to tag up with Jon Moxley in that planned 6-man tag main event that got called off, obviously, because of Lance Archer's COVID diagnosis, which sucked because it was a massive opportunity for him. He had the run in anyway in the match, but I could see something. Everyone that you hear about is very high on Will Hobbs. There's definitely something about him. He's a big guy, great athlete, great spine buster. His spine buster is awesome, and he had a great showing in the Casino Battle Royale at All Out, and I think there is something there. There is something definitely there when it comes to Will Hobbs. So I wouldn't be shocked. I really, really, really wouldn't be shocked if they switch the title here, because it feels like the kind of guy that they would probably switch the title to. And obviously, I know they're building up Brian Cage, and Brian Cage is incredibly over in AEW. I feel like when it comes to the FTW Championship, if they switch it, it's Taz's call, it's Taz's bout. He's the one that brought it to AEW in the first place. I can't see him having a problem with that. I can't see him having a problem with that. Now, obviously, I could be completely wrong, and Brian Cage could get the victory here, and maybe that's what we're looking at. But I don't know. Don't rule it out. Don't rule it out. I could see them pulling something like that just to shock a few people, and then you've got a Brian Cage versus Will Hobbs feud. That interests me. That really does interest me there. I think there's money in that. I think there's money in Will Hobbs, and I think that they can do something there. So I wouldn't rule that title change out. Then finally, what else we have announced for the show? We have Big Swole going up against Serena Deeb in a women's division match. Hopefully we have more than one women's division match on the show. I'm along with everyone when it comes to the criticisms of the AEW women's division. I do think it's slowly improving. I thought the addition of having Thunder Rosa on weekly television massively, massively helped that division. You do have good talent there. You have the likes of Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa if she's there, Ivelisse, Diamante. Really like those wrestlers. Hikaru Shida. I'm a big fan of Nyla Rose. I know some people, it doesn't really work for them, but I'm a big fan of Nyla Rose. I think she's an absolutely brilliant attraction, and I think she can work. So the talent is there. They do need more. They do need more talent. Signing someone like Serena Deeb is absolutely the right way to go, because she's a tremendous talent. Her match she had with Thunder Rosa a few weeks ago on Dynamite I thought was incredibly good, and one of the better AEW women's matches we've seen. Big Swole's a character. I would like to see her probably work on her in-ring work a bit more. But she is a character. She's certainly unique, and she does have a lot of popularity in the fan base. So I'm looking forward to this one. I don't know if I would probably say Big Swole would win, but I would like to see Serena Deeb get the victory here. If you've signed her, let's push her to the moon. Let's do something with her. Have a match that has Serena Deeb go up against Hikaru Shida. That could be a fantastic match. Ultimately, I think the main criticism of the AEW women's division right now is they need to do more. Now, what is more? More is having more than one women's match per show. More is having more than one storyline in the women's division. It feels like at the moment you have one women's match per show and you have one women's storyline. Now, they've kind of expanded that recently. You had Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida, then you had Big Swole and Britt Baker. So that was two female storylines. So that was an improvement. But for a long period of time, Big Swole versus Britt Baker was meant to take place on the pre-show when it went to All Out. So I think if you look at and compare them to the women's divisions in WWE, NXT, and Impact, again, I think Impact Knockouts division is up there as arguably one of the best female divisions in the world, possibly just a bit less than WWE. I think that they would have to look at them and see, okay, where are they going right and where are we going wrong when it comes to our women's division? And it just comes to the talent is there for AEW for me. The issue is presentation. The issue is having more than one women's match and having more than one women's storyline. So maybe this is the start of that. We'll have to wait and see. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts? What are you looking forward to? What are you excited about tonight's special 30th Chris Jericho anniversary edition of AEW Dynamite on TNT from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be sure to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys and chatting about AEW with you here on the channel. So do leave a comment. If you've enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button as well. It really does help us out here on YouTube. Go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now. Or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Closing in on 1,000 subscribers. We're about 50 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers. Then we can monetize the channel. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365 and we can get to that 1,000 subscriber goal. And I would really appreciate it. If you have subscribed and you're a regular viewer of the channel, just know that I really do appreciate it. I appreciate everyone that takes the time to watch or listen or just interact with any of these videos. It's much, much appreciated. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.